It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7. We got a big show for you today, and a weird show because we are originating from Royal Spring Training this week and next, where it's raining in the desert. As we just mentioned with Pete, it's one of the craziest sights you've ever seen in one of the most beige areas on the planet, the Sonoran Desert. I love it. I love the desert. I love the sunshine. I love the heat. But when it rains, it really transforms things here. So we're looking forward to some bright colors the next few days before it gets hot and everything burns out. We got a great show lined up for you today. We're monitoring President Trump at the Oval Office. He is going to have an address, or I guess maybe one of these media things where sometimes if it's at the Oval Office, they record it and then play it back, but we'll get it for you. If it's not available live, it will be available here on KCMO Talk Radio. He is getting tough with Russia at this point. He has basically posted on social media, get to the table, or we're going to do sanctions and tariffs on Russia. And Trump is the important thing for America here. Really, I mean, the war is a big deal. People are dying. It's a huge thing. So there's a lot of parts to this thing. Trump wants to end it, but he mostly wants to end this thing so he can focus his attention on us, on the United States, America first. This war doesn't have a lot to do with us other than the money, the treasure that we've sent to Ukraine. We have backed one side of this thing, which is eased off, and it appears that somehow we're closer to neutral at this point. I'm not sure. I think if you asked Trump, if you were Melania and it was pillow talk, he'd say, I really don't care who wins, loses. I don't care where the line of Ukraine is, what is owned by them, what is their country. None of that matters. It's not NATO. It's not really the United States. It has nothing to do with American citizens. He can't say that publicly, but I think a lot of us feel that. Like, this is not our country. It's not our war. It's not our regional problem. Let's just get out of there. Let's have peace. So he's trying to get that, and now he's threatening sanctions and tariffs on Russia if they don't come to the table. So Russia maybe is a little bit of a problem now. It seems like Zelensky maybe is ready to talk. I really don't understand any of it. The outcome of the war is decided. Russia has won. They've won land. Okay? Cede the land to Russia and call an end to it. Let's draw new borders. Give Putin his win. Let Zelensky stay in power, at least until there's an election. Everybody wins. Zelensky got rich, which was his game. It happens with socialists and dictators, of which he's both. So he wins. He gets to stay in power for now until they have elections. And if he loses, we give him a sanctuary. We allow him safe haven somewhere in the world, whether it's the United States or elsewhere. He gets safe haven, and the thing is over. Let's be done with it. The threat of World War III is not strong. It keeps getting bandied about. Trump says it out loud. It's not going to happen. My question is Donald Trump too peace-loving? Like when he makes a threat to Russia, sanctions, this problem, this thing, that thing, as he talks about that, is the world aware that Donald Trump will do anything to make peace? He's a deal maker. He's got a clean record. His first 4 years, he was the only president that didn't start a conflict. He got us out of conflicts. He wants out of this conflict. So Trump barks a lot about power, about United States military might, about American greatness, but would he ever deploy it? He doesn't. There's some special missions. He's taken out leaders of terrorist groups with targeted attacks by drones or special forces. But is Trump really going to back anything up, ever? And it's a weird question to ask because nobody looks at Donald Trump like that. But in a way, is he maybe in his heart? Nobody on the left would talk about this. Is he too soft? Would he ever back it up? He talks big. He's got military might. Clearly, Russia's been 3 years in Ukraine and hasn't taken Ukraine. Their military isn't that great. The only threat we have from these countries is them lobbing nukes at us. Their military can't do any real damage to the United States or harm any of us. But where do we stand? Is Trump really tough? Like, people were scared of Reagan. They're like, okay, Reagan, if a war starts, he's going to take you out. What would Trump do? It seems to me that he is the ultimate peacemaker. More than Jimmy Carter, for example, who was known as one of the most peaceful presidents of all time. Trump's very peaceful. And I think that's complicating the issues between Russia and Ukraine. They know he's not getting involved. He's not sending our troops. Our military is not going into this war. He's cut off the funding. It's over. That's probably empowering Russia. Okay, there's no help from the USA. The European Union, NATO countries don't have the might. They don't have the will. They can talk about it, but they won't send the money. They won't send the troops. Russia may feel emboldened at this point. And if Putin really wants to be tough and he calls Trump, does Trump have a Trump card? I don't think he does. The only Trump card he has is American military might, and I don't think in a million years he's going to send it to Ukraine and support them. No chance, no how. We're monitoring the White House and what's going on there, and if we hear anything from Donald Trump in this hour, we'll get it right to you. Let's take a couple of minutes and say goodbye to not goodbye, because it's probably not goodbye. Applaud a radio legend in Kansas City, the great Johnny Dare, who's been on for 32 years on, 98.9 The Rock is just a legendary radio station in Kansas City that, loses in the ratings to KCFX 101 The Fox. I'll tell you that. It does. Johnny Dare has been an incredible radio talent in this market for decades. He's an even bigger human spirit. The goodwill, he's known as like a biker dude, which is cool. Biker guys, there used to be a thing about bikers. It would be like, oh, the bikers are coming in. We got to get out of this place. And now it's like the bikers are coming in. Let's shake their hand and thank them for being all MAGA, like the greatest people on earth, and the charity that they do and the goodwill. That's Johnny Dare. His heart is bigger than his talent on radio, and he is a superstar talent. This guy has owned the Kansas City radio airwaves with fun, entertainment, forever. What he's given back to his community is more than any city could ask for. With kids, with charity, with events, his bike events, this dude really loves Kansas City. Johnny Dare is a great talent. There's plenty of marginal national talents around the country. I say that, marginal. It's very rare that you find somebody that gifted, that talented, that says, Kansas City's my home. He's worked for a giant conglomerate company for a long time, and I'm sure he's had chances to go to New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Atlanta, any of the big cities, and go there and do his thing. They would have loved for him to move. And he said, nope, this is my home. This is my community. This is where I belong. And Johnny Dare has been an incredible part of that landscape. They've made a bunch of cuts over at Odyssey is the name of the company that owns these radio stations. They made a bunch of cuts nationwide. It is symptomatic of radio today. You can't pay talent what you used to pay them. You can't run stations like you used to. It's changing media. Radio's going nowhere. It still reaches 90% of Americans, more than any other medium. People hear radio. It is a great medium. I think it has a tremendous future. It is interactive, but mostly, when radio is great, it's local. It connects you to a community. It connects you to people, your neighbors, your friends. It gets you talking about a song that you heard, or what Johnny Dare said, or did you hear the mayor on with Pete Mundo today? It gets people talking. It connects. Radio is a beautiful medium. Audio is fantastic. Yes, we stream. Mostly you can see the shows on KCMO Talk Radio if you want to go on the streamer and watch us sitting in the studio. That's fine. But this is a personal medium, and Johnny Dare connected with his listeners his entire career in a way that very few people on an FM music channel connect with people. He was one of the all-time greats. He's probably going to do something great again. It may be a podcast. He may do radio again. It may be something else. We reinvent ourselves. It's kind of what we do in radio. We salute Johnny Dare, not just for the great work entertaining Kansas City and being a radio legend, but for the size of his heart and what he's done in this community and how much he's given back. Johnny, good luck. Godspeed in going forward.
I have a quick Johnny story if
I love it.
If I have a second.
Please.
My very first year in radio, I was just working as a promotions guy, driving the station van to the concert. And he walks up to me, standing there with the banners and everything, the table out front of Sprint Center, gives me floor seats to AC/DC because I didn't have tickets to the show. I was just driving the van out there and going to drive it home. He gives me floor seats for AC/DC. That's
right down in
who
front.
Johnny Dare is.
He's the best, man. I don't know him well. I've never worked with him. I've listened to him a bunch. I've met him several times. And every single time he meets somebody, he's your best friend.
Oh, yeah. He let me
and
do
he's
his
way better than me.
As well.
What's that?
He let me do his flamethrower once outside of the building as well.
I love it. He's also the kind of guy that remembers your name, and I'm terrible about that. He's just so solid, Kansas City, and what a legend. You know what? It's probably, if you asked him, if we got him on, it'd probably be a little bit of a relief. It's a hard gig. That's a long time to do the same thing. And I'm sure he'll reinvent himself and do some sort of podcast or something that a lot of people will latch onto and be involved with.
John's got a quick story here as well.
Yeah, I worked with Johnny and Greg when they did Z-Rock. I was the Q104's program director. Johnny, he's that kind of guy. It's like one day I came in, my future brother-in-law decided he couldn't be an usher in my wedding at this time. It's back in the early 90s. Johnny's like, can I help you out? And I'm like, yeah, dude, be an usher in my wedding. And he was.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Well, that was back in the Z-Rock days. He hadn't worked at The Rock. But, I mean, when you said that he doesn't forget a name, it's like Johnny's just one of those guys. He'd be the funniest guy on a job site if he was a construction worker. He just has that ability. He's one of those kind of people.
Dude, he walks in a room and lights it up, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got that thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, he's got that thing. And he's all over Kansas City. He's out there and he's about, and he is just likable and lovable and doesn't forget a name or a face. What a legend. Johnny Dare, his tenure at 98.9 The Rock is over, but I feel like there's something else. He's not going away. There's no chance Johnny Dare is going away. And if nothing else, he'll just dedicate his life to Kansas City because he's so into so many things and helping other people. He's remarkable. An unbelievable gift to Kansas City because I'm telling you, I don't know him well. I just know his talent. He could have left 100 times and made more money and maybe gone national or done whatever. 100 times he could have left. We've got a few in this town. Brian Busby's that way. Brian Busby at Channel 9 has had chances to go to ABC and work at big owned and operated stations. Or at one point he was offered the Good Morning America job and turned it down and stayed in Kansas City. It's unbelievable the connection that people have to Kansas City and don't want to leave. It really is unique in media. And Johnny Dare is one of them. He's an absolute true pro and a legend. We salute him today. If you'd like to join us in the conversation, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to monitor the White House and see if Trump is up this hour talking about the war in Ukraine. We'll take that live or on tape if it's presented to us. If you'd like to join us and join the conversation, 913-408-7957. That's 408-7957. You're listening to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. Well, I just got a pick-me-up during the break. My wife told me I don't sound as energetic as normal today. I'm like, oh, thanks for the pick-me-up in the middle of the show. I'm talking about a radio legend, Johnny Dare, and she's telling me I kind of stink today. So sorry if I'm letting you down with not enough energy. I'll try to bring it the rest of the way. Seriously.
When you're talking about somebody getting let go, it's hard to get up for that.
I know. I said, Johnny Dare, it's his last show. And she said, what? She didn't know what I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
So she's in the other room and can sort of hear, sort of not. She's like, you're just not as, I'm pretty amped up normally when I broadcast. And she's like, you're just not as amped up. I'm like, well, I'm talking about a legend who's done today. I think maybe in a way, I can't speak for Johnny Dare. Don't you think maybe it's a little bit of a relief? Sometimes you get involved in these things and you become, slave's not the right word. You become tethered to something and so attached to it that you feel like you have to do it every single day. It's hard to describe. I'm guessing there's a little bit of relief with him and maybe he's probably a little worried about, okay, what do I do next? but it's going to be great. He's so gifted and talented. He knows so many people and is so beloved. It's going to be fine. Johnny Dare's going to be just fine, man.
I think so.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. You're probably getting phone calls on the air right now. Sorry, Mark. I didn't mean to
No, it's all right.
involve you when you didn't want to be involved. It's all good. 913-408-7957 if you'd like to join the show. We're monitoring the White House and Donald Trump, what he has to say about Russia and Ukraine. Big stuff apparently coming up today. It sounds like he's getting tough now with Russia, trying to play both sides of this thing. We will see how it goes. We'll start with Tim in the Northland. Hello, Tim. Welcome to Uncanceled. How are you today?
Good, Kevin. How are you? Since you're talking about the Ukraine and Russian war, I think if I would really like to see Doge dip in and take a look at the funding to there and then follow the money trail, because I think it's going to lead right back to congressional pockets on both sides of the aisle. This is a way they can get our tax dollars and turn it into their political coffers. And I'm not sure how much, but if even they got a 10% kickback, there's a lot of people going to jail. So do you think that they will look into where the money went to Ukraine, see if they can trace it back and see if they can find some of the Congress people on the take from wherever they get? Because we saw what had happened with USAID. And the Democrats, when they're really silent the other night at the I'll call it State of the Union for a better term, but they certainly cheered when Trump brought up Ukraine and about sending money or aid there. And I think that's why, because that's what's lining their pockets. I'll listen up here, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tim. And even worse than that were the people on the left side of the aisle that were wearing Ukraine pins on their lapel and not American flags. There were multiple Democrats that literally wore Ukraine pins and had no American flag on. It's unbelievable the way they're attached to this thing. And my answer is yes. I think Kash Patel and Pam Bondi will work hard on this and find things that we don't like, but we kind of know was going on during this war. And I'm all in with this. So I got a lot of friends, very conservative friends, and they want to go backwards. And they want Biden in jail, and they want Hunter Biden, and they want Hillary, and they want this, and they want that, and let's go find this, and let's go get Comey, and let's go get all these people that did all these things to Trump. And my answer to them, they don't like it when I say it, and you probably won't like it, is I don't care about what happened in the past. Move on. So if we're currently involved in a war funding Ukraine against Russia, and we know that there are nefarious things going on with the money that we're sending, and it's getting kicked back here, and it has to be, or they couldn't be this dug in on something like this. There's no way that Democrats woke up one day and were just like, okay, Russia, we hate them, we got to defeat them. No, there's money here. I'm all about finding it and stopping it and outing the people that are complicit in this. Yes, don't really want to go back, but this is a current thing, and if it's going on and there's money being spread around, we got to find them and we got to prosecute them. Every single one of them. I'm in with you, Tim, 100%. 913-408-7957 if you'd like to join us. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. Welcome back to Uncanceled. If you'd like to join us today, the phone number is 913-408-7957. We can get you right on the air. If you got anything on your mind you want to talk about, let's do it. I'm at spring training with the Royals for another week. We're expecting the rain to bust out of here. We are going to Scottsdale tomorrow for the Royals and Giants, which is one of the great gems. If you ever come to spring training, it's fun to go where the Royals play. It's cheap, by the way. You can go for $8 and sit on the lawn. You can buy a reserve seat and pay $40 if you want, but $8 on the lawn for a spring training game seems like the way to go. And if you're not a knucklehead, you can go on a day where you can take your dog as well if you come out here. But that's not going to happen tomorrow. Scottsdale has an old stadium, like an old school stadium where the Giants play. And it is sort of expensive to go to these games. A lawn seat there compared to the Royals, this is unbelievable. The Royals get $8 for a lawn seat. The Giants get $54. That's the cheapest ticket for a spring training game for the Giants in Scottsdale. It's the old area of Scottsdale where all the old money is. And there's all kinds of restaurants, shopping, entertainment, music, everything around the stadium. They'll take you in a little buggy to the game if you want to park your car at a restaurant. They'll take you right to the door and drop you off. It is so old school. It feels like to me, it feels like the 70s. The best comparison maybe is Wrigley Field. It's not Fenway, but it's Wrigley Field because of all the stuff around it. It's very cool. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow. And I'll post a newsletter for my patrons at Kevin Keatsman Has Issues with the podcast. And we'll put some pictures up and stuff. If you ever come to spring training, definitely go where the Royals train and see a game there. It's fun. It's your team. And there's a lot of Royals fans around. But if you can plan it around a game, they only play one time against the Giants in Scottsdale. Every team plays everybody once. They do like home and home. So the Royals do a home and home with the Diamondbacks. They've got a sparkling facility in a different part of Scottsdale by a casino and 2 golf courses and an entertainment district that's sprawling out by the freeway. And they share that with the Colorado Rockies. And it is just filled with glitter and glitz and stuff. So the Royals will play once there. And then the Diamondbacks come to Surprise once and play there. And they obviously get a huge crowd because all the people in Phoenix love the Diamondbacks. So those are big games. But when the Royals play at the Giants, if you ever come to spring training, go see that game. Make sure you look at the Royals schedule and plan it around when the Royals are playing the Giants. It is so much cooler than every other spring training venue. It is a great day. You will not miss out. We got 74 and sunny tomorrow. It's going to be great. Then we got the 80s on Sunday and Monday. May find a golf course after uncanceled because, we got to grind. We got to work. We got to grind. We still have a radio job. It's good. We're monitoring President Trump. If he speaks this hour, we'll get it for you live for sure. He wants to talk about Russia and Ukraine. And one of the undertones of the Ukraine war and Russia is this this assassin, would-be assassin, Ryan Wesley Ruth. There was the guy hanging out in the bushes in Palm Beach trying to shoot Trump while he played golf. This is crazy. The dude had 17 phones. I'm going to repeat that again. The assassin had 17 phones and had ties to Ukraine. Literally had ties to Ukraine. We know that he went there. I don't know how this affects the war, but Trump knows a lot more about this would-be assassin than you and I do. And if he had ties to Ukraine and 17 phones, how is that affecting what Trump thinks of Zelensky and Ukraine? I'm not going to connect the dots. I'll let you do that. Was he sent? I don't know. It seems really weird the dude had 17 phones. 17 phones and ties to Ukraine trying to kill Trump. Crazy. All right, let's go to the phones. 913-408-7957. We have Timothy in Kansas City, Kansas. Hello, Timothy. How are you today?
Hey, Squared. How you doing?
Good, buddy. Thanks.
Hey, you picked my song for Song of the Week. I was thrilled to get the email.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. So this song was written in 1971. It's called Sunshine, and I don't have it in front of me. The guy who sang it and wrote it is what? Is who? Edwards? Something Edwards?
Jonathan Edwards.
Okay, nobody knows that person, but they know this song. Mark could probably call it up. It's called Sunshine by Jonathan Edwards, and it was written as an anti-Nixon song, right, in 1971?
Right.
Absolutely. And it applies today. In your words, how does it apply to what we live today?
For years, I have, because in 1971, I am, 13 years old? For years, this song nailed it for me, for the establishment and what has become the Democrat Party and politics in general. You want to tell me how to live? Screw you. You can't run your own life. That's my point.
No, you're dead on. And for reference here for our radio listeners, I do a podcast every day before the radio show. It's called Kevin Keatsman Has Issues. And every Friday, almost every Friday, we do a Song of the Week. And I ask listeners of the podcast to submit entries for Song of the Week. Sometimes it's relevant. We had the guys from Matt Field Green on that sang Touchdown Kansas City. That was the Song of the Week one time. We played it here on the radio. But this song, dude, when you sent it to me, I'm like, what is this? Like, I didn't know the artist or the song. And the second you hit play, you know the song instantly. Like, it was number 4 on the charts in 1971. It is a great song. It's anti-establishment. It's anti-government. It's anti-big government. Like, you can't even take care of yourself. Don't tell me what to do. It is more appropriate today. It's called Sunshine by Jonathan Edwards. You'll know it, Mark, the second you play it. Everybody that listens will know it.
Sunshine, go away today. I don't feel much like dancing. Some man's gone, he's tried to run my life. You don't know what he's asking.
Right?
Yep.
Don't Run My Life. Everybody knows that song. And you sent me a great YouTube video of this song that has the words on the screen, which is very helpful. You can listen to the song and hear it talking about the man trying to run your life, and he can't even run his own life. But when you see the words on the screen on the YouTube video, it's powerful. It's a very powerful lyric.
Well, I love it, brother. You're doing great.
Yeah.
And I love your tribute to Johnny Dare. Classy, brother. Good job.
Thank you, Timothy. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Thank you for sending that song in. I've heard that song a million times, Mark. I'm sure everybody listening knows it, and nobody really has listened to the words except Timothy. And he's like, oh, my gosh, this is so anti-government, anti-establishment, and is more it didn't really apply to Nixon. So maybe it came out of the anti-Vietnam War thing more than anything else. But if the Republican Party in 1971 was about controlling people's lives, I'm really happy with where our party is now, because I'm not good with the government trying to control anybody's life. I'm just not good with that at all. That song is amazing. It's called Sunshine by Jonathan Edwards. Thank you, Timothy, for sending that into the podcast for our Song of the Week this week. The podcast is kkhasissues.com. You can play it right there if you listen to podcasts. Doc is in Greenwood joining us, talking a little baseball. Hi, Doc. How are you today?
Hey, Kevin, doing well. I'm just thinking about baseball, I guess more so than Russia and Ukraine, but that's okay. Hey, I was wondering, what's your take, since you're right there and surprised, on the Royals' relief pitching this year? I was flashing back to 15, HDH, and the whole thing. Do we have that?
Well, very close. So I saw Lucas Ursig 2 nights ago. We were at the game. And he just came in and threw gas. He was unbelievable. It was like 2 strikeouts, got 3 outs, overpowering. This guy has everything it takes to be a closer. They made the trade. They signed the free agent and brought him in. They really think they have 2 closers. I'm not sure how they're going to use them at this point, whether it'll be an 8th inning, 9th inning guy, or they're going to mix and match. They have power arms in the back end of the bullpen. And one of the pitchers that I'm really intrigued by this year is Daniel Lynch, because the Royals believe he's probably got a more upside than Brady Singer, which is why they traded Brady Singer, who's been a very good pitcher for the Royals. Now, does Lynch fit in the rotation? Is that what they're going to do with him? Or is he a flamethrower out of the bullpen? I don't know, but they have power arms in the back end, and you're right. It's been missing for a few years, and if they get that, they can shorten the game. The starting pitching's good. If you can get through 6 or 7 innings with the lead, they believe now they have the bullpen that will win the game.
Excellent. That's what I wanted to hear. I wasn't sure what was going on. I've been kind of out of the loop on the trades and things, but that's great. Okay.
Here's the thing, Doc. Here's the best part, Doc. We're at the point where we were with the Chiefs a few years ago. When Brett Veach took over and Andy Reid came to town, we were skeptical of everything, right? The Chiefs weren't good for a long time. It didn't look like they had good leadership. But over 2 or 3 years, we saw them get better. We saw them get quarterbacks in. They traded for Alex Smith, then they drafted Patrick Mahomes. We're like, okay, these guys finally get it, unlike the old guys. I feel like J.J. Piccolo and his staff really get it. They have signed starting pitching. They've committed long-term to Bobby Witt Jr. They've built a bullpen. They seem to know what they're doing. And at this point, because of what happened last year and what's transformed over the last year and a half, I think the Royals get the benefit of the doubt. Now, they could go out and lose 90 games this year. They could have injuries. Pitchers could get hurt. All kinds of things can happen. But the Royals right now, and I'm not one to give the benefit. I'm very critical in sports, very critical. I think you give them the benefit of the doubt and you say, they've proven to us how to build a team. We're going to trust the moves they've made this year. I didn't like Brady Singer being traded. I like Brady Singer. I think he's a real talent. That was a tough trade for me. For a leadoff hitter, that was a tough trade for me. But I've got to step back and go, they get the benefit of the doubt at this point.
Great. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for your insight on that. Yep. I guess I'll buy a ticket and go to a game.
For sure. And I'm not a shill for the Royals, but me and my friends are talking about this deal they have. This is crazy. I don't know that anybody in the city knows about this or if they're going to buy advertising. For $49 a month, you can go to every game, all 81 games. Now, it's a standing room ticket.
Is that the Fountain Pass?
It gets you in the out. It's the Fountain Pass. It's got to be the greatest deal in sport. If you want to go to a bunch of Royals games, $49 a month for the season, and you get in every game, including opening day. Now, you don't have a seat, but here's the dirty little secret about the Royals, and this is what we do. We went every Sunday last year. For $17 a person, 4 people, you can get a parking pass, 4 tickets, hot dogs, and 4 drinks for $17 a person. So we went on Sundays, and we just didn't go to our upper deck seats. We just went to the outfield, walked around. But here's the dirty little secret. Most nights there's only 15,000 people. There's 35,000 seats. You can go sit down anywhere you want.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks for the heads up on that. Yeah. I got kicked out of the upper deck one time, and there was nobody down front, so I went and sat behind the dugout.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So we sit down. Usually we park by the left field and go out to the fountain area, and then we're like, oh, look at all these empty seats, and we'll go sit. Normally it's about halfway between third base and the foul pole. There's all the seats available right there, and it's pretty good foul ball territory.
Awesome. All right.
Awesome,
Thank
Doc.
you so much.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate you. You're Ryan Lefevre's neighbor. You live in Greenwood. Ryan Lefevre is going to be on my podcast next week. We'll talk a little Royals baseball with him. It's going to be fun. He's a good dude, and we appreciate that. I'm the master of the sports hacks. If you want to hack something in sports, I got you. Like, my philosophy is you could talk your way into the Super Bowl. You could do it. You can pay $15,000 for a ticket, but if you really want to go to a Super Bowl and you get creative, you can work your way into the building, I promise. It's not that hard. It can be done. Don't try to come in with a knife or a gun or anything like that, but you can do it. It can be done. Like, you can get into anything. The $49 deal and the standing room tickets, why pay for an expensive seat? The games are never packed. Friday and Saturday night, sometimes they get pretty full. But why? Like the other night, we paid $8. $8 to go to a Royal Spring Training game. We got lawn seats. We could have sat behind the third base line, right down the line. We easily could have walked and sat there. We didn't want to. It was more fun on the grass. We're in the desert. It's beautiful. It was great. So we kind of like walking around. Baseball is a casual sport. Most people don't go to a baseball game and lock in on every pitch. Some do. Occasionally you'll see somebody with a scorecard. They're really into the game. They got their headphones on. They're listening to the game on the radio or whatever, or on the app. I appreciate those fans. Those people are awesome. That's not really the way we go to baseball games. I'm there for the popcorn. I'm just being honest. I love the popcorn. They got Topsies at the Royals. Some people go for hot dogs or beer. I'll have a cold beer. I'm good with that. The popcorn, you give me it's dinner. I did it Wednesday night. I'm terrible, Mark. I'm so bad. I've lost weight. I've done so good eating better. You get me to a baseball game and a tub of popcorn, I'm the biggest pig on the planet. It's
I love
awful.
the popcorn, too.
When it's fresh. I got the souvenir bucket. I'm like, yes, please, souvenir bucket. It will also double here at the ranch as a beer bucket on the patio, right? It's perfect. It's a perfect beer bucket, or fill it with popcorn. Baseball it's poetry, man. It's a lifestyle. It's different than any other sport. You go for the smells, the sights, the sunset, the weather. The people watching at baseball games is remarkably great. It's even better than Walmart or the airport. It is. People watching at a baseball game is better than people watching at Walmart or the airport. It's so fun. We love it. This is Uncanceled. We're going to check in with Mark. We got some topics for him next on KCMO Talk Radio. The Dan Bongino Show is coming up. And is this the last? No, one more week of Dan Bongino. Then Vince Colonnese will take over.
Vince is actually filling in today.
Oh, nice. So you can get a sample of what the new show will be. Vince, it's called just Vince, right? Is it the Vince Show?
The Vince Show.
The Vince Show. That's like the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
The Vince Show. I like it. That'll be following Uncanceled going forward after the Dan Bongino Show wraps up. Mark, what is the What is the greatest Trump display you've ever seen? Whether it's flags on a truck, driving by somebody's yard, Christmas lights, whatever, like total full-on MAGA. What's the most outrageous display you can remember?
Yeah, every time we drive to my in-laws in Iowa, we'd go through this little town in Iowa, and it's right on the main street, and these people would change their sign up every time we drive by. So in 2016, it was Make America Great Again, Trump 2026, and it would just go on and on and on. And when Biden got in there, there was, F Biden signs and stuff like that. But now the last time we saw it, it was Trump 2.0, Keep America Great, 2024.
I love it. I was thinking about getting the license plate 45 and 47.
Oh, that's a good one.
That would fit. You could do that. That's pretty cool. That would ruffle some feathers in traffic. But I'm not one to display the stuff. But I met a dude yesterday who's unbelievable. His name is Dean. They got about 6 acres in the desert and a house, and he's got a bunch of guns. So don't even think about going out in the desert to try to get this guy at night, right? He's about 35 years old, and he rolls into this joint, and we're sitting out on the patio, and he's got this old truck. It's like maybe 10 years old, 15 years old, and it's jacked up, and it's got 12 flags on it and the license plate and all this stuff. It's all Trump. And he said, I've had this on there since 2015 when he came down the escalator. I've never taken any of it down. I just add to it. There's stickers all over it. It's insane.
That's incredible.
He said my best story is the license plate. I said, what's the license plate? Because you can't see it. The flag's over it. It says RE space MAGA, RE-MAGA. That's 47. We're doing it all over again. He said, I'm renewing my plate. They have a rule in Arizona. You can't put political things or controversial things on your license plate. And he's like, people that work for the government are so clueless, I'm going to try this. So he calls the lady, and she says, she's like the screener. What is RE-MAGA? He said, oh, it's a giant truck. It's a giant truck. It's my second giant truck. So it's Make a Giant Again. And she approved it. She approved it. He's like, it was so easy. I just made the whole thing up. Unbelievable. You got to love Trump fans, baby. Hey, Dan Bongino's coming up next. Thanks for listening to Uncanceled. Have a great weekend.